in our channel, and then I'll share my screen as well. Sorry, sharing my screen right now. Okay, so I think I mentioned in stand-up, I did like a redesign on like Friday, Saturday, Sunday for this like Code for Good workshop. This is the website. We redesigned it from, sorry, I don't have the case study done at all, but we redesigned it from this. So it was kind of, there were like links that weren't working, and it was like very old school, and like the homepage was just like a YouTube video. And it was very text heavy, not many images, and like just a shitty website basically. But it was all like really good content. It was just like we had to like figure out how to parse it down, and and then they also wanted a content management system that they could organize in WordPress. So we created a component system. That's right here. So there's different colors. So like they can add like a video or a photo here, and then they can have like a gray background, a white background. They can have like different little accent colors. They can have a blue background, and then they can like drag and drop basically without having to do code. So basically any feedback you guys have on like the overall feeling of the site, if there's any pages that look particularly bad, like there's still some stuff like this, like I'm like, it doesn't look great. But we basically, like we only had a weekend, so we ran out of time. Yeah, so just like overall kind of feedback. Yeah.
Zeke, do you mind?
Oh, and the contact page needs a lot of work. Sorry, what more?
Oh, no, it's okay. Do you mind reiterating what this site is really quickly again?
Yeah, it's like a nonprofit that's trying to fight like sex trafficking locally.
Hey, quick question. I know you showed this to me over the weekend, but are these like many different iterations of the site itself, correct?
Sorry, I should have said that. No, so this is like there's the landing page, and then this is like if you click on identify in the nav or like get involved in the nav, that's this page, educates this. So they're different actually pages.
Okay.
And I feel like you said this in your other post, but in regards to the copy, that was like your primary issue when it came to what to cut and what not to cut.
Yeah, I didn't work as much on the copy as I did like the UI because there was someone like specifically doing copy. But yeah, a lot of it was just cutting it and trying to get like a consistent storyline because before it was just text and it was like really heavy. Yeah, so like pairing copy with like icons and things like that was a big thing.
Okay, awesome. Everyone, let's leave Zeke some comments. I noted what he was looking for, and it was basically any and all feedback, especially if anything is particularly quote unquote bad. Okay.
Or just any ideas like if some section looks weird in particular, like if you were scrolling the website.
Okay.
Zeke, chiming in on the stop this traffic, I wrote it out, but I think maybe like I do enjoy when websites do that within the hero section of kind of using boxes to emphasize stuff. I just think with having it end like kind of only be there for 2/3, that to me it's a little bit more distracting rather than like emphasizing, if that makes any sense.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
And then I look at the next page and it like really works. You know what I mean? Like with how you have it. So, you know, the tracking happens everywhere. It works much better on the second page than on the first, in my opinion.
Like it does look weird too at the end, I feel like. Like, why do you think it works better on the second page, Nathan?
Why do I think? Probably because, you know, the top of the letters with the lowercase, they're all more or less constrained within the box, just a little bit peeking through, whereas just the nature of, you know, the S and the T's and the F's, like it really kind of gets out of the bounds, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So like the second one looks much more like a highlight rather than a like, what's this thing in the background?
Right. Okay, cool. Appreciate that.
Hey, so another question. Your stakeholder, they wanted all that text put in there?
Yeah, we cut down as much as we could, but like we can't cut it down anymore from this basically. Like they wanted more, but we really like followed it. It's tough to
I think if you can, try to get Ruth or someone to come along with you. It's like really good at copy because it needs to be straight to the point because, you know, a lot of people have the attention span of a fly and they might not want to read all that, you know? So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's the next step is like, yeah, see if I can cut some copy.
Okay, awesome. Everyone, let's finish up final thoughts, and then in 1 minute we'll move on to Carrie.
Oh, can we just say like one last thing?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I was going to ask Zeke, who is the target audience for this website? Is it victims and people who want to help?
Yeah, it's like victims who are looking for resources as well as people who want to get educated. And then the third person, so victims or survivors, educators, and then people who just want to donate and learn more.
Yeah, I think the images you picked are really strong for people who want to educate and people who want to help. But for somebody who's a victim, they may be already scared and like looking for like some image to relate to that would make them feel safe or like they would be taken care of or that they could trust this website. So maybe having like a picture where there's like this person with friends or like somebody's taking care of them in at least one of the screens. I think that would be really helpful for victims to identify with.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Let's move on to Carrie, whenever you're ready.
All right. So basically, this is going back to the Revitalize project. This is something that I really want to showcase in a prototype after I, you know, get the rundown of like principle or prototype, but showing the modals that actually pop up because I don't think none of y'all got to see that in design crits. So just to give you a brief, you know, rundown of the dashboard again, when you click on team members, when you click on, you know, the file image itself, it will bring you up to the modal. So as you can see, this is like check out your team member section. And then if you enlarge it, you can view this card of your team member. So like their, you know, what their role is, what they have their certification in, their bio, and the many different methods and ways you can contact them. And then with this, as far as like viewing your documents, this will be another modal. I wanted to treat it similar like Indeed, if you think about it, because with Indeed, when you're like applying to a job, especially if it's like internally on the site that the employer can see, that they can pull up all this stuff within a modal. So I just really wanted to get feedback on someone who might be more familiar with modals as well, and see what you thought about it. See if there's anything extra that I could add in here for, you know, the final step. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I also wanted to mention that if a person went in here, it would be more intuitive, so they don't have to use the slide bar at the bottom. They can just kind of flip through the cards if they want it with the cursor as well, and kind of pick on each individual cards too. So giving the user more of like an intuitive feeling like that. But if that kind of goes against, you know, user experience principles, please let me know if you think that will be kind of confusing to a user. Let me know as well, because I really want to get your thought on that. Because I definitely want to get more and more into creating modals. Yeah.
Awesome. What kind of feedback are you looking for specifically?
On the way that the modals could be designed, I guess, or if there's any if there's any if there's any other way that a person would design or any affordances that I would need to add to it. Hey Marlene, there's an emergency. I need to step away for a minute.
Yeah, go for it. Okay. So since Carrie's out, let's give him feedback in the Slack thread. If you need to go, you can go to Carrie.
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll just help someone with something.
Carrie, do you mind sharing your screen? Mine is taking forever to load with your project. Thank you.
Oh, and yes, there would be like an X button or a close button as well, somewhere just for instance in here. It's actually right here on this side as an example, but they will be added in there. Did you want me to zoom in, Lauren?
This is great. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's finish our final thoughts and then we'll move on to Lauren next. Looks like everyone basically commented. So Lauren, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So what I'm doing this week and what I need help on today is I'm redesigning my Build Week project, which was a textbook rating and review website. And after doing some research, I realized that rating and reviews are less important. What teachers and students are more interested in is a place to buy, sell, and rent textbooks, and a place to share reading lists and opinions about like what students enjoy reading, and like how that would help other teachers who are just starting out. So I redesigned the landing page right here. This is just a wireframe. So what I would like comments on today is the page on the left. If you see anything that doesn't make sense or you would like more information, go ahead and reply, and you can like type on the design or post in Slack. And then to the right here, I have an image where I just did crazy to try and figure out what to do about the individual book review page, because a comment I had last time was that there was way too much information, because I was trying not only to have the ISB 10 and ISBN 13, which are two different codes that are used to identify that specific textbook, but I also had to have the title, the author, and all the prices for renting, buying, and selling. So I'm trying to find a way to organize all that information. And I think the conclusion I've come to is that all people care about are title, picture, ISBN, and prices. But if you have any ideas about something else you'd like to see, or if you want to star one of the designs that you think is more successful, or just want to comment on that, please go ahead. So yeah, in conclusion, what other things you'd like to see or be clarified on the landing page, and which individual book page you prefer.
Hey, Lauren, I had a question.
Mhm.
So is these sketches, they're meant for desktop, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would at any point, would there be like a use case for it to be like mobile friendly,
Yes.
or like, okay. So you would do that too eventually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Lauren, quick question. On the right-hand side, where you have the resources section,
Mhm.
will this be like a collapse feature, or will you just lay all the information out like that for someone to see?
I was planning on laying the information out like that. if you think it looks really busy and should be organized, I'd be open to that too. Or if you think the section's unnecessary, that's also good to know.
And this is for college students, correct?
It's for college students and teachers.
Okay.
Are you gonna handle like digital downloads? Sorry, I don't know if you had clarified that in the beginning.
No, I hadn't even thought of that.
I know that whole market is like the publishers see the writing on the wall of all that, and plus, who doesn't love a subscription plan like continued thing? I know publishers are trying to move towards that model a little bit more.
Got it. It's hard when you've been out of school for a long time. You forget what new gadgets they come up with.
Have you thought, so I'm assuming the section beneath the hero, that's like a sort by category set leg, right?
Mhm.
I think that could end up looking fairly, like depending on what you use for icons and everything, like that could be a little like overwhelming of like a stripe, you know, when all the icons come in there.
Okay. I'll try an iteration without it too, just to see. Yeah, right now it feels like a lot of sections. So maybe even trying to figure out how to simplify it might be good.
Have you tried testing this out with a person who wasn't a designer, like a regular user?
Yeah, I've tried it on my mom, and she said it looked like a lot of things, and she felt overwhelmed. So that's something to be aware of.
I don't know. Something this made me think of is like journalist sites, like just any news site, really. So I wonder if you could borrow like themes from that, like any major news publication site, because they have a lot of written text content, and so that's just what, like, just without like having any images, that's what I thought of at first. So I don't know if that's helpful, but yeah. I do agree that, like, for me, I was a little bit confused, like what the category drop down thing next to the search bar meant versus like the icon ones would be, like what the difference would be. But I don't know if it's just because you can't interact with it yet. But yeah.
And Lauren, you probably already know this since you did this for Build Week, but what age is your demographic that's going to be, like, what's the age group?
Students are typically 17 to 25, and then teachers are 30 to 40.
Okay.
Older teachers weren't as interested in using this site, mostly because they were experienced and they just didn't have any experience contributing to a site like this. I have another question. What do you think of this create account that's like embedded in the hero section? Is that weird? Do people do that?
I would say yes and no. Oh, was someone else going to speak?
Yeah, I was going to pipe in, but I'd like to hear what you think, Carrie.
I would say yes and no. I think it just depends on, what you want your user to do automatically and right away. I mean, you could probably just have a regular call to action button. Depending on the kind of color that you add to it, it'll probably look a certain way. But I will say that this will probably be a more kind of like dated approach. So I would just have a call to action button to create an account now with probably like a value proposition or something that can get them drawn to that to automatically, start making an account to get, recommended books. But it's pretty interesting.
I think having the call to action and like that is perfectly fine. I mean, you want people to sign up, right? I do think that it is a little disjointed. Like I the find your textbook, I don't know if that's Holder or whatever, but to me that like makes me instantly think that like, oh, this site is like set up for me to like get a list of my textbooks, like instead of like to me I feel like, oh, it's going to help me find my textbook, not I still have to like search for it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that was just a placeholder text, but I definitely have to search for a new thing. Be like, buy your next textbook.
Mm-hmm. But like then the other reason is like, why buy there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's give Lauren some feedback, and or if you, since everyone's basically making notes in the Figma file. Yeah, let's finish up some final thoughts, and then we will be moving on to Colton next.
Hey, Lauren.
Mhm.
I'll just say this. I don't feel like typing it down, but I will say that it seems like a lot of this feedback that's given to me is kind of like divisive. You know what I mean? Because I actually prefer it like this, kind of sort of like with this design that you have, because it reminds me of like Amazon, especially when you go to their site, how it could be overwhelming for some people. So I will say that you will probably want to design something that can be, inclusive for everyone, including like a user who would never go a day on your site. So even designed for the older people that you said that wasn't interested as well. So I would just say that to have like a middle ground. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's good to consider. Thank you.
I second the Amazon vibes. Like that was kind of what I was picking up to is it's like how Amazon, especially if you go into like vanilla Amazon, oh my God, like without your line signed in, it's just like, whoa, what going on?
Sweet. Thanks for the feedback.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. All right, let's move on to Colton.
Lauren, can you unshare?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Got distracted there.
No, you're good. Oh, goodness. Go away. There we go. Okay, so this is my portfolio. So I want some feedback on it in and of itself. So just be kind of like this, and you would scroll down, and this would, I can just do it here. And you could scroll down through all of my case studies. All of these would link out to wherever. And then this would be the case study in and of itself. This will stay stationary as you scroll, but these will jump down depending on how far you are throughout through it. Let me share this here so you guys can look at it if you like. So basically just kind of overview feedback of like things that I could do better to make it look cleaner, or just things that stand out to you. I also have it designed for mobile. It's basically the same thing, just this will sit at the top, and then you'll scroll through each of them. When you click on them, it will bring you over into just a skinny page of it. Yes, there's a lot of text and no images on the mobile. I just haven't done that yet. But the case study, if you have feedback about that, that'd be greatly appreciated, like the wording or anything. This one doesn't work yet. Oops. Any of this, that's cool. I definitely need to redo it all. But any feedback about any of it is appreciated.
Yeah, Colton, one thing, I know Elizabeth, when she was looking at my case studies, would tell me this, like having headers is important. I know you do have
Having what?
headers, but like
Headers.
like for the case study, having like headers that, because mine, I had like research, ideation, information architecture, and she had me like redo those and create them more like, I can send you some examples. It's hard to describe it in a way that she was saying most hiring managers are just gonna like scan through this and they are gonna like look at the images and they're gonna look at the headers and they probably won't read the text, especially if there's like a lot of text. This is more text heavy. So I think like having headers that like explain like either the problem or the process or like kind of like explain things creatively so you can like get the narrative just by reading the header, she was saying was like,
Okay, so not necessarily like a one-word header, but like a sentence of a header saying.
yeah, just something so you can get the gist of it basically.
Okay.
I feel like I can speak on what Zeke is talking about. I definitely struggled with that certain aspect, especially when it comes to headers. I would try and frame things as problems/solutions. So could you scroll up a little bit? All right. So, oh, essentialism. I did this one. Okay, so let's see. So since essentialism is the essence of a person and you're trying to get back to your roots and declutter your life, possibly speak on that instead of just going straight to essentialism. Not many people or anyone will kind of like go to your page and be like, oh, essentialism, easy.
Yeah.
So that and like scannability wise, yeah, I don't know if they would completely read into all of the writing. I do like that you have all the writing though. That way you can just like cut it out. It's easier to cut than add. Besides that, yeah, like the ideation, iteration, I would probably do like more visuals, just to see like your actual design process, not thought process. And yeah, that's basically it.
Also, maybe a good idea too is put like the title of whatever you're going to speak, and then like a mini subtitle, for example, ideation, and then like maybe not the paragraph, but a subtitle below the ideation, spelling like we did a couple ideation, blah 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 blah, and well, at least that's how I did it in mine. I'm changing that because I had it like that, like just a title. And I'm adding just the title and a little subtitle that before the paragraph starts. And also like, what are you, so I have like reading and reviewing a lot of other people comments about portfolios, sorry. And what I have learned is that maybe you will try to focus or structure your case study towards whatever you're looking for and try to show it in the case study. For example, maybe if you are looking or if you are more interested in design and the aesthetics of the UX process, maybe put more screens about that. And if you are focused more on the research part, I think put more like like how you have, like explaining everything and all the problems and how you come up with the solution. So depending on what type of UX you are focusing on, which are like your favorite part about UX, maybe try to translate it a little bit more. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thanks.
All right. So a couple of things that I noticed right off the bat, and Elizabeth always says this to us, that you want to focus less on methods and more on key findings. So the part where you talked about, user testing or doing certain things, and once again, it depends on what kind of role you're going for, like Anna mentioned, that you're going for. But I would say that I would highly recommend, depending on the role that you would want to go for, like if you're going for UX or UI or product or research, that you would want to look at other people's portfolios to see the way that they lay out their case studies, basically, and to kind of gauge, what is, a modern take and how you want make it seem like you just came out of a boot camp. Because right now it just seems like it's just methods and fundamentals instead of actual exploration. I mean, I've seen some things in here on like your key findings, but you can work on that. As far as like the words, once again, depending what you're going for, I feel like it's too much text, especially towards the end. So you'll probably want to spread that out and split up content and have more pictures because you would want to. I'm not saying that you have to be content heavy because you don't, but it's still good to provide some kind of source of content in there as well. As far as like the design goals of it, I feel that this isn't really modern. It looks like something that was, I would say that looks a bit dated. So I would want to say, I mean, the typefaces are fine. The typefaces are fine that you're using. But as far as like just the layout and the design, especially the logo that you have right next to the essentialism sign, it looks a bit dated, and it could kind of rub hiring managers the wrong way because they might think that you're not up to, date or, not, very aware of what's going out there in the current design trends or the current, content trends or how people are laying out their information. So like even with your homepage as well, I would say that you will probably want to revamp that instead of having it gray as a color. Maybe think of another solid color, or if you want me to, I can send you like people's portfolios that use a lot of white space and see how they do that effectively. Because this seems like it's off to a good start, but I know that it could be way better. And I know that in order to, be in a competitive, role, in order to compete in a competitive role, you have to find some way to make yourself stand out. And I think just getting like the basic fundamentals as far as having, having like a modern take, a modern look, and knowing what you want to do as an actual designer as well, and kind of molding and, creating your resume. I mean, not your resume, your portfolio and your case studies from that standpoint will really help you out a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to shoot those over, that'd be great.
Will do. I'll get on it now.
Awesome. Everyone, let's leave some comments for Colton in the thread, and then finish up those thoughts as well. Awesome. And last but not least, we have Ruth. Ruth, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm redoing my portfolio design. So basically, I redid the portfolio, the homepage from what I had before. And then I'm also right now working on redoing the case study. So this was my previous case study for the Build Week project. So it's like a lot of text heavy. So I'm kind of trying to get less text heavy. And so I started a little bit of it and trying not to make it too much cookie cutter, but definitely coming up with different titles is definitely difficult. So I guess just basically feedback on if you guys think that I'm heading in the right direction and maybe ways to make it less wording heavy.
Ruth, I like it. I just have one thing. I would specifically play with that green color on the user persona maybe and like tone it down. Also, I don't know how I feel about this, but Elizabeth was saying like don't even put user personas in your case studies.
Yeah, I'm not going to. That won't be there.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on doing it. It was just in the old one.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so I would probably make the persona more of a written sort of thing and not necessarily have an image for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a few minutes to leave Ruth some comments in the thread. Okay. Awesome. Let's finish up some final thoughts. And then I'll make a couple announcements and then we'll be done for the day. Okay, awesome. Good job, everyone, on your first design crit of independent study. Everyone looks like they're doing great, especially since it's Tuesday. It's not even like halfway through the week. But just some common occurrences that I saw that I feel like Elizabeth would definitely point out is probably add more visuals to your case studies and or portfolios. So that can be anything from iterations to, it's kind of debatable if you want to add the user flow, just to make sure you mention that later as well. Iterations, research, charts are always amazing. And stuff like that. You can also add color through that as well. And then the next thing is frame your titles. So instead of saying like research and findings, you could say what they said or how they said it, or I guess you could say findings, but essentially stuff like that. So frame your titles as questions or problems or solutions. But besides that, everyone did great, or you did great regardless. But yeah, good job everyone on your first design crit. And Slack me if you have any questions or concerns. And yeah, everyone's free to go.